So, it's been a while since I posted up a video talking about political, social issues. One of the last videos that I could remember posting something up was about the Sean Bell incident, and I caught a whole lot of flack about that online and also just amongst my circle of peers. And people were saying like, "Yo, in so many other words, dude, you're like an Uncle Tom. You're a sellout." You know what I'm saying? Those policemen, murdered Sean Bell in cold blood, and it was without a just cause. And this was after all the information was out. And to my remembrance, I believe that Sean Bell was in the vehicle and was using the vehicle as a weapon. He totally disobeyed orders, and with that, the police drew their guns and they opened fire. And the police had every right to do that, and I still stand on that. And I was shaking my head even thinking about it now, going back. People were like on this guy's side. I'm thinking to myself, like, this dude has so many strikes against him. It was ridiculous. Like, it wasn't even funny. He was about to get married, and it's like, dude, you at the strip club. You know what I'm saying? Like, so automatically, even though this has nothing to do with his murder, but it just goes to show what type of person that he was, character, and it's sad, you know, and he lost his life just due to ignorance. I would say being at the wrong place, you know, and at the wrong time. So now we have this Mike Brown situation that's come up, and again, I stand in the middle. I don't stand on the side of the policeman um, as of yet, as to say that he killed him the way that he did. I don't agree with that at all. I believe that if the man had surrendered, um, clearly surrendered, then there's no need for you to go and execute the guy. Um, but as far as how things got started off, well, let's go back to the robbery. Um, the robbery slash shoplifting. People try to say, well, he wasn't robbing. Robbing deals with money, and shoplifting is dealing with, merchandise. And I'm like, dude, a loss in revenue is a loss in revenue. I don't care how you want to split it. Mike Brown flat out took what didn't belong to him. Him and his friend. They both. It looked like to me in a video that his friend put whatever was given to him back on. And kind of like, I don't know parts of this. And Mike Brown was the one that kind of stayed behind and bent over picking up stuff. And if y'all don't believe me, y'all think I'm making this up, just do the research. It's out there. You can see the video. It's up on YouTube. But seeing this guy, 6'3", close to 300 pounds. This is a huge kid. This is like a giant of a man, and he just really just punked this store owner out, which wasn't cool. I mean, the store owner is just doing his job. He's trying to provide a service for people and product for people, and this Mike Brown character just thought that he can just waltz in there and uh, just manipulate, bully his way into getting whatever he wanted. And the guy was trying to stop him, from taking what he didn't pay for. But Mike Brown clearly turned around and was like, pretty much towered over this dude. Like, he was getting ready to, he was intimidating him. Like, oh man, like, dude, I'll punch you. You know what I'm saying? If you try to stop me from walking out of the store with stuff I didn't pay for. So that's the reason why the call was made out in the first place. Now, whether the policeman that shot Mike Brown heard the call or not, we already know what type of character this policeman came in contact with. The policeman approached a guilty individual, Mike Brown. He was guilty of robbing a store, taking what didn't belong to him, shoplifting, however you want to dress it up. Mike Brown was walking down the street with this boy, and he was guilty. approached by a policeman. He already, I believe, was feeling a certain type of way, like, you know, man, like, nobody can, tell me nothing. And this is just an assumption. Because what I'm getting ready to say next is questionable. And based off of what Mike Brown's friend said, he's like, yo, we was walking down the street and the police said, get out the effing street. And he said the policeman, drove a little ways up and then stopped his vehicle and then backed up, and that's when everything jumped off. Right there, I'm like, all right, this doesn't make any sense. He's saying that, he went to open up the door and the door bounced off of us and, bounced back onto the policeman. I'm like, oh my goodness. And people are biting and eating this up like, yeah, man, I'm like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. When was the last time any door to bounce off of anybody? I mean a car door. Like you went to go open the car door and it bounced back with such force that it just pushes the officer back into his police car like he can't get out. I don't know. I've yet to see that happen with any car door. But again, they said that it was a shot from inside the vehicle. I'm like, okay, why did the policeman have his gun out in the first place? Now, according to the guy, he was like, Mike Brown's boy was like, yeah, he said he was gonna shoot us. Like as if like them two was just walking down the middle of the street, didn't commit any crime, and that they were talking properly, like, we don't want no problems, officer, you know what I'm saying? We gonna go about our way. We just a little ways away from our destination. I don't think it went down like that. And this is just my assumption. You know, judging based off of character, in which this is what they're gonna do during the case. Going back to the robbery, this is not no gentle giant. This is not no innocent, 18-year-old. First of all, this guy is purchasing something that he's not allowed to have in the first place because dude is 18. You gotta be 21 to be able to make those type of purchases, to get cigarettos, I guess, whatever he was trying to get. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna come out that the owner was like, ID, or he was like, no, I know who you are, you're not gonna get any. Nah, I think that Mike Brown, he was guilty on that tip, and they're going to use that against him because they're going to say, based off of his character, he's a person who's going through life at this moment, and he doesn't care. So I believe that the policeman backed up because some words were said. He didn't like it, and I think that Mike Brown and the guy was close enough to this policeman's car. Now think about this. This guy, Mike Brown, is 6'3", close to 250 pounds. How does a cop who is way smaller than this guy, sitting down in his car, get a 6'3" person from around the neck, pull him into the car, and start to tussle? Doesn't make any sense, people. It's physically impossible unless you're dealing with a super cop here. Impossible. I can't even do that. I'm 6'3", and I'm 150 pounds, so I'm half the size of this Mike Brown guy. And if I'm sitting in the car, there's no freaking way I'm gonna be able to reach up and yank this guy, this giant, down into my car, and we're gonna start tussling over my gun. I don't have it. I don't have it in me. So I don't get this, and I may be wrong, but I don't get this whole story about, yeah, the cop was trying to pull Mike Brown into the car. Yeah, right. Come on, people. Ain't happening. Now, I believe that a shot was fired off, and I think that the police had to be, he had to be scared. He had to be scared to a certain degree because this dude is huge, and he is in my vehicle right now. I believe that Mike Brown was giving him the business to a certain degree. I believe that. I don't know. I mean, because again, we don't know what is up with this police. We don't know if he had any bruises, any bumps. any, damage done to his body at all. We really, really don't know. But this guy gets out of his car. Now, this is where the cop messed up at. When Mike Brown starts to run, his boy starts to run. His boy goes and runs behind a vehicle. Mike Brown apparently is already shot once. Cops are trained to shoot to kill. So I think that the first wound wasn't fatal, and I believe that the cop was turned on 10. And I think he was thinking to himself, I'm going home to my family tonight. I'm not trying to take any chances, because if this kid is crazy enough to get and reach into my vehicle, then he may have something on him to where I can be killed. And I'm not about to take any chances. I think that's what their case is going to have to be, is that they didn't want to take any chances. And so that I could understand to a certain degree. But when a kid throw up his hands, or a man throw up his hands, and he's like, yo, you got me, it's over. You would think. Because, I mean, we live in a world today where you got people who's like, hey, you got me, reach for a gun real quick, bam. You got people that's out there that are like that. I've seen a video like that before. And you don't know people when you're a cop, and you really can't even trust people, especially when they're doing something they have no business doing. So, there you have it. You're dealing with two wrongs, and the result was death. It was dumb for Mike Brown to get himself involved with the mentality of doing the wrong thing. From going and robbing a store to walking down the freaking middle of the street. Now, how long was he walking down the street? I don't know. I really don't know. He obviously wasn't on the sidewalk. He wasn't crossing the street. He was walking down the street like that. I want to say in the middle of the street. And they want to say blocking traffic, but I don't know. I wasn't there. There's not enough testimonials out there stating that he did that. So I know I'm gonna get a lot of backlash for the video already, but I'm just speaking from a sensible point of view, and we're dealing with people who are lawyers that are like doper and sharper than I am, and they're going to use some of these points. Don't be surprised, because like what I said before about Sean Bell, I was right about that. I'm not saying that I'm 100% right about this, but I'm pretty sure I'm in the ballpark. And that's all I really got to say. So, you guys can take it or leave it. You can leave all the hateful comments below. You can leave all the positive comments below, the loving comments below. But it feels good to be back. And yeah, we'll talk some more. I'll let you later. Peace.